Welcome to Earth's Mightiest Weirdos. It is a Nexus event, I suppose, because we finally got the four of us back in the same room. Gentlemen, how are you doing tonight?
Very good.
Wow.
I guess I need to go one at a time. Rob, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing great.
I didn't call you Robert, but it's good to have you back, Rob. Back after a week off. Mark Adams, how are you doing tonight, Mark?
I think the best phrase to describe how I'm doing is wow, ka-chow.
Sarcastically or regularly?
Yes.
No. I mean, I don't know why, but I have, every time someone brings up Owen Wilson, I have the line from Cars stuck in my head now where he's like, with a little hard work and a whole lot of luck, you can be just like me. Ka-chow.
Ka-chow.
On this TikTok sound too. I think that's part of it. Mark Valentine.
Oh my God, it might be.
Is live. Mark Valentine, how are you doing tonight?
I missed you guys last week. I really enjoyed watching, but I did miss you guys. It was the hardest part was we drove down to see Dwayne Willie, my co-host in Maryland, and I listened to the podcast, and the whole time I was like, "Womp womp, Mark." you missed out on all the fun last week, but I needed, dude. I just, you know how it is when you do 4 and 5 shows a week. Every once in a while, you just need to catch your breath and take a half hour to like just cultivate some kind of stillness. I was so burnt out last week. I told Bryan, I was like, listen, as much as I love Loki, I got to have a week to just take a deep breath and relax a little bit. So thank you guys. Appreciate that.
It's not to say we didn't miss you guys, but Kara and Kevin both did a fantastic job in doing. So thank you to Kevin and Kara for that. Katie says she's here. She says she's listening on her drive home. So Katie, you can't see us, but we want to say thank you. Jared says, let's do this. Jared's fresh off of permission to do Disney with the dudes for the trip coming up for This Is Life. And he's just very, very excited. Dwayne's here. Stephanie's back. Hi all and welcome back, says Stephanie. So welcome back to everybody, but let's get into it, gentlemen. There's a whole lot to discuss. Very first and foremost, we start off with little girl Loki. And does she look familiar to anybody else?
Yeah, man. From Walking Dead. That's Judith, baby.
No. I mean, it is Judith. But do you know who else she is?
I don't. You're gonna surprise me now. That's the person.
The actress is Kaylee Fleming. That's her name.
Okay.
She plays young Rey in the Star Wars: The Force Awakens when she watches the starship flying away and she yells, "Come back." That is the same little actress. So she is Rey and Loki.
She has a better career than almost every adult already. She's in major franchises.
Listen,
Mark, what's with the look on the face?
I am happy for her success. When I'm watching The Force Awakens and I just hear her screaming like, no, I'm just like, oh man, children actors. Okay.
See, now
Sorry,
I think
my child's not an actor and they scream "come back" just like that.
Yeah. Like that line, that line screamed to me, "You filthy junk traders, come back." See, that's what I got from that. And I had to wait an entire movie to get that.
I know. I'm still the same guy who thinks Yondu's death is not that, maybe I'm just a bad bag of emotions.
But
so which toxic comment wins? My clear shade that I just threw on The Last Jedi or Mark taking out Yondu's death scene? I gotta know. Let us know in the comments.
Yondu's death scene.
Yeah, let us know in the comments who was more vile.
I mean, you have a bad step in a mediocre trilogy or a death that was kind of rushed.
Oh, okay. To be continued on Bobby.
Yeah. We got too much to talk about to go down this road.
Edition.
Yeah. No.
Little girl Loki is brought in by Hunter A23. Sylvie says at the beginning of the episode that her being born the goddess of mischief eventually just caused enough of a stir to create that branch where she's brought in. None of it makes any sense whatsoever. Is it literally the branch in the timeline that Loki was happy? I mean, that genuinely seems to be what the branch in the timeline is. We don't know. I expect that we're going to find out. But she's taken in by Hunter A23. A23 is Ravonna Renslayer. What I find interesting about this is we knew she was A23 from the last episode, or the second episode where you see her helmet. Avengers 23 comic book A23. Avengers 23, Kang is the main villain, and that is the debut of Ravonna Renslayer as a character. So I don't think it's much more than that. I don't think it's a Kang Easter egg as much as it is the debut of Ravonna, but it very well could be both. But Hunter A23 lets little girl Loki get away. She stomps on her foot, steals her temp pad, and she's been on the run ever since. What I do find interesting here is Ravonna has found herself to be in charge at the TVA other than the Timekeepers. And this is a pretty big mistake. And they still haven't captured her. Mark Valentine, did anything stand out to you here?
This was, I think, one of my favorite parts of the entire episode. This little sequence that I think a lot of people glossed over. And I think that if you do that, I think it's a huge mistake. While Ravonna doesn't give a definitive reason, it actually shows how cold and calculating she is when Owen Wilson asks her what was it, or Sophia asks her, I'm sorry, what was it? What was my sin? And they can't remember that line where she says, I can't really recall. It just shows you that there's.
Do you think she's telling the truth there?
Yeah, I do. I actually do.
She remembers.
No, I take her at face value as a person who's had hundreds and hundreds of people come in and out of his life. There's times that you forget people's names, and it's not on purpose. You've had so many people cycle in and out of your classroom over 15 years that you can, like, especially as they've aged 15 and 20 years, you say, listen, I need a little help. It's not that I didn't bond with them or love them when they were in my classroom, but I take her at face value as a person who's forgotten things because you've had so much things to store in your life. I take her at face value. The thing that really just struck me here was what you just alluded to a minute ago, which is, what was her crime? Her crime was that she was good, that Loki in that moment was setting and presenting to be more of a hero. When you see her playing with the action figures, the fact that she is rooting for the Valkyries and she's rooting for the good guys was her mistake. She was meant to turn out as a good Loki, and Loki can't be good. Loki has to be a villain. That's the way that Loki has to present. There's dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of Lokis, and they've all followed this cookie cutter pattern of being a trickster and the god of mischief. She was not going to be mischievous. She was going to be a hero, and we can't have that. And
anybody else catch that humble brag by Mark just a few minutes ago saying he's had hundreds and hundreds of people come in and out of his life?
Students.
Rob, what's it like to have thousands and thousands coming in and out of your life?
Stop it.
Alexandra says that she thinks Renslayer is 100% lying, that she has a mischievous, manipulative look on her face. I can see that, but I'm with you, Mark. I think she's taken in so many people and ruined so many variants' lives that she genuinely can't remember what this one did, even though this one probably should stand out since she's probably, hopefully, you would expect, the only one that's gotten away. Markie Mark, I know child actors and you don't always go well together. How did this one go for you? She looked genuinely scared when she was being booked in by all those guys.
I like how she had her Valkyrie action figures. I thought that was a fun little, like, oh man, like, could she have become a Valkyrie? That would have been a fun little, like, what if storyline. And then we think the opening there is about her, but it's really not. And it made me feel bad for her more. I'm glad that part wasn't more drawn out. I don't think we needed it to be its own episode or anything like that. So I'm glad we got we learned a lot in a short time, I think, is what I liked most about that opening. So,
Rob, how about you?
I agree with everything Mark Valentine said, except I do think she was lying. You don't forget the one that got away and caused this much problem. She knows, and I think she doesn't want to give it to her. So I agree with Allie on that point. But everything else, I agree.
If she is lying, Rob, the reason that she is lying is because she knows that she was good. That her sin was that she was not going to fall into being a villain or a trickster that in that it gives her credibility in that what she's saying is true, that she's the hero. Let's just say they set her up to be the villain. She is the hero of this saga. She and Loki are the heroes of this story. They're going to take down the TVA. And as you can see, the TVA is not good. They are not good.
No.
Mark, Adams, are you ready for this? Mark Adams, I need a Mount Rushmore of child performers. Performances by a child actor. Stephanie asked
Haley Joel Osment. Oh, Haley Joel Osment, The Sixth Sense. Man, I want to even say Haley Joel Osment from AI, but I won't do that.
You can,
It's First Rushmore with one actor.
we're not ending the show tonight before we
Man.
your Mount Rushmore. So go ahead and think about it. But Sebastian's a big fan of your Sixth Sense and AI choices.
Jake Lloyd.
Oh man,
Jake Lloyd and the Phantom Menace. It's working.
He played the part they wanted.
Does Elijah Wood in Back to the Future count?
Wait, Rob, I need to go back. Is this the Ali K?
What?
Is this the Ali K?
Yeah.
Oh, Ali K's with us tonight.
She's able to watch at work today, so she's watching. So we got to put on a good show.
So Ravona's having this perfect. Well, thank you for joining us, Ali. But Ravona's having this flashback to bringing in young Loki, her escaping, and on her way up to the Timekeepers. We see the Timekeepers very, very briefly, but we'll get back to that in a little bit. We come back to her coming back, saying she's being blamed for this everything happening, and Mobius pushes her that he wants to speak with Hunter C20, saying it's real. And very, very quickly you learn, she says that Hunter C20 is dead. Rob, go ahead.
I think that's really all there is to take from it. She knows too much. That's what happened. She was wiped out. I don't think there's much more. I think it happens all the time.
Markie Mark, go ahead.
All right, so Haley Joel Osment, Sixth Sense, and then Niggas Holt from About a Boy, and then from the little boy from Jojo Rabbit. I got to go with him.
Jake Lloyd, Phantom Menace. I like it.
It's working.
It's working. Dang, I had a fourth
how about Jake
one.
Lloyd, Jingle All the Way?
I'm a person and my name is Anakin.
Yeah, the little kid from Big Daddy.
Oh, no. For my fourth one, oh my God, where is it? Okay, from The Gift, the Chris Evans movie, not the Cate Blanchett one, the little girl who ended up playing little Captain Marvel. So that one from Gifted, the Mark Webb, Chris Evans movie.
All right.
There's my four.
Jared Welch. There you go, buddy. Kirsten Dunst, Interview with a Vampire. Bam.
Oh.
That was pretty good.
Could have went Jumanji.
Shia LaBeouf from Shia LaBeouf from Holes now.
That's like right on the line. Okay, getting back to the show. Mark Valentine, it's very, very obvious Hunter C20 is not dead at all.
Not dead.
Well, I mean, no, she probably is dead, but she didn't die because of her mind being manipulated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like Mark just said, this happens all the time. There have all of those rings on the table are from Mobius. Mobius has been deleted or erased or whatever it is. I don't know what to call it anymore because
pruned,
not dead. Yeah, pruned edges of a man of small villages, but not dead. All of those rings on the coffee table are technically from Mobius because he's been pruned now several times. And that line that she feeds him is his tell. If you could be anywhere in the world, that's his tell. And if he answers it the wrong way, pruned. Boom. You are pruned. Go to Battle World.
We'll talk more about what Mobius finds about Hunter C20 in a little bit later. But for now, we jump back to Lamentus 1. We find out officially that it is not any sort of enchantment. Rob, were you a little bit bummed about that?
I was a little bit bummed, but I was still okay with it.
I thought episode 4 was going to help episode 3 age for me. I think it actually made it just a little bit, brought it down just a little bit more because we spent so much time away from the TVA and the main storyline. But we can reflect on that after the series is completely over. But Loki finds love in a hopeless place. I couldn't help myself, so I had to put it there. But it causes a branch in reality, and I put love in quotation marks on purpose. And we'll talk about this in a little bit because Mobius calls out this entire love and infatuation with himself. But Loki finds that accepting. This causes, we talked about it last week, what's going to happen that helps Mobius find them. Now I want to talk about this right now as they're zooming in on the timeline. They're looking for different branches. He said, even if somebody steps on the wrong leaf, we should be seeing it. So it seems like the bombing of the sacred timeline from episode 2 is done. It's already fixed. So it's not, I mean, I think the TVA is still going to come down by the end of this season of this show, setting up the rest of the MCU. But is anybody else disappointed that the bombing of the sacred timeline was taken care of?
Correct. It's like cleanup on Isle Infinity. It's over.
It's kind of like ending a movie with someone handing a very important object who he's a teacher type character and she's maybe like a Padawan like character holding out something, and then in the next episode nothing comes of it and he just tosses whatever hopes she has over his shoulder. It was just very anticlimactic.
I don't know if that's the end of it. I think maybe whatever was done when those reset charges are set, what if it's the same thing like the pruning? What if things that are pruned end up somewhere else in whatever fragment form they end up? I feel like that would be too much nothing to that happened and it's over.
So when I had this realization, because the potential of the bombing of the sacred timeline is just so cool. It just sets up so many cool potential stories and different ways they can go. It does seem like the entire purpose of that night and bombing that sacred timeline was getting the TVA to be empty, to get all of those hunters and everybody out of that building. So she had basically a clear shot to get to the timekeepers, that she knew they would eventually be able to get back to every timeline before they redlined and be able to finish it off. It seems like it was just simply a distraction more than it was anything. And again, I'm okay with it as long as we still kind of get the bombing of the sacred timeline when the TVA falls or whatever happens from there, because the storyline potential of there and to solve that off screen, I don't love that. But as long as it comes back into play, I'm cool. But it does seem like they've cleaned up that bombing of the sacred timeline from the second episode. Mark, I do have to ask. Dwayne says, what about Daniel Radcliffe in the first Harry Potter movie?
I think if you're going to talk about Daniel Radcliffe performances, you'd have to go Prisoner of Azkaban, or I know the movie is probably the weakest one. Yeah. Prisoner of Azkaban, his performance in Order of the Phoenix. So I didn't know if he counted for those, if they were a little too late. But yeah, he was, don't get me wrong, he was perfect. But the first two, when he was, yeah, I would, if final answer, if Prisoner of Azkaban counts, then he's going to push someone out of the top 4.
You know, if you ask Mark a tangent question, you're adding 10 minutes every tangent question.
I apologize. Sebastian,
I don't mean to go. I don't mean to be like Kevin Smith, where if you ask him a simple question, he's going to do a whole like 45-minute rant on it. I'm trying to reel it in. I'm trying. Wow.
Sebastian says, how did their love cause a branch in the timeline if it was an apocalypse event?
Can I answer this?
Yes, please do, because I don't have an answer.
I don't think that love is what caused the branch. I think that the biggest thing that all Lokis are supposed to have in common is they're alone. And they found whatever this companionship is with each other, whether you want to call it a romantic love or another type of love. I think the thing that caused the branch is that they weren't alone. Lokis are supposed to die. I don't want to say they're supposed to die alone. I think they're supposed to be alone. And just to cover my tracks, the reason why I think the Infinity War timeline wasn't a branch is because they knew he was dying. That is the sacred timeline. Thanos was going to kill him. I think every Loki is alone. That's the point. And for the first time, they weren't alone because they had each other.
Feeling a sense of belonging. Sebastian says, does Maisie Williams count as Arya Stark as a child actor? Gentlemen,
Feeling
Mount Rushmore of least favorite actors of Game of Thrones characters, Arya Stark is on mine. do not like anything about that character.
I think the one actress who I feel bad, I forget her name. The one actress who was the ruler of her own land. She had that one iconic opening scene where she put all the guys in their place. Rob, I don't mean to go on the tangents. It's almost like I need a podcast or something where I can do this for just an hour.
I just don't want people. I just didn't want anybody tuning in going. They talked about Marvel a lot less than things today.
I know. It's my bad. Arya Stark wouldn't make my Mount Rushmore. I could be talked into like, man, I don't know. I don't know if she'd make my top 10.
All right, let's try to stay on topic. It's all my fault. I'm sorry.
I know. I'm sorry.
We do have a phone number up on the screen right now, 570-216-8064. If you want to call and talk about Loki, let us know what you thought. Please do give us a call in. Amanda's raising her hand, so if it sounds like we might get Amanda in, but come let us know what you think. And Mark, pull us up if we want. My Dr. Bruce says just an hour. Hi, Dad. Thanks for joining us. All right. Well, let's get back into it. So everybody's okay with this. I mean, they had to get off the planet somehow. Everybody's okay with this finding. I don't think it's love. I don't think he's crushing on himself. Does anybody disagree with? I think he's more found a sense of belonging and a sense of acceptance that he's never been able to find in another thing. And that'll make you feel things a lot better about yourself. I genuinely don't think it's a romantic love for himself.
I feel like he's found the greatest love of all.
A love of himself?
Yeah. I mean, learning to love yourself.
Of himself.
Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. I decided long ago to never walk in anyone's shadow. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. That's all I'm going to say about that whole thing. And that's it.
My thing is, Loki, we've seen it. Loki, we've seen it throughout the movies. He just wanted someone to like him and love him. And he found someone that gets where he's coming from, gets what he's feeling. And I didn't read it as a romantic kind of love. I know everyone wants to ship that storyline. There's going to be so much fan fiction for it, but I think it was a different kind of love. It was just Loki found someone who gets him.
Yeah.
And that's never happened for a Loki before.
Yeah.
Being willing to admit it and loving yourself. That's what I think it is. I don't see it as a romantic love either, but they go back to the TVA. Sylvie gets multiple more security guards than Loki does. And he's very insulted by this. Now, mild language alert, but I thought it was a great line. So I need to pull it out there where Loki's feeling bad about himself. What am I, the god of self-sabotage? And Mobius's response is, no, you're just an asshole and a bad friend. Like, that was a great line, and you can see that it hits Loki like, oh, he genuinely thought of me like kind of as a friend, and I screwed it up, and he kind of feels bad about it. So he puts him in the time loop prison, and we get the return of Jamie Alexander, Lady Sif. That was awesome. I was not expecting that. Yeah. I thought that was great. It was good to see her again. We know she's coming back in Thor: Love and Thunder. So that was a great time loop. We eventually get Loki coming to that realization of why he's always going to be alone, even though he was not willing to admit again that it was hurting him because he was just going to have a glass of wine and take a bath, and that was going to be it. And then he found out he was in the time loop. But Rob, were you excited to see Lady Sif again?
I love when Lady Sif shows up, and it's great that she hasn't been killed off. They can use her if they want in general. I know that this wasn't actually her; it was a time prison, but it's always great. And again, it got that same point across. It's why you're always going to be alone. It's why you're always going to be alone. He wasn't alone then.
Mark.
Patty Duke from The Miracle Worker as a child actor, throwing out a Turner Classic movie for everyone for child actors. Go on. Go on, Mark. Go. Bring it back to the show.
The scene with Lady Sif was exciting to see her reappear. I've missed her. I know that she's going to be in the next Thor movie, that she's going to be in Love and Thunder, which I'm excited for. I was missing her, but also glad that she did not make an appearance in Ragnarok. If only that she survived. But I liked those guys. I like the Warriors 3. I like Lady Sif. I like Thor's universe. So when I get to see her again, I just geeked out on a very surface level. And it was fun. It was a fun thing to see Loki be punished by his own life's events.
Does anyone else recall the last time we saw Lady Sif?
We haven't seen her since Dark World.
Incorrect.
Was it? No, it was a credit scene, wasn't it? She gave one of the
episode 13, season 1 of Agents of
S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, I was going to say Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's what I thought.
Hot take. That was garbage. I didn't watch that shit.
Poor thing. Mark,
Sorry.
I've got another hot take for you. I just marathoned the Inhumans, and I liked it.
Oh my gosh, we are going to have to discuss that when Loki's over. Oh, that show's rough. Okay, moving on. Oh, that was.
I feel like that could be a time loop prison for you, Brian. It's just reliving that moment when Mark just said that again and again.
Her hair comes out of her head and grabs the guy by the throat. Oh man. Okay.
Okay,
so
that was a little rough, but
so Mobius is doing his own talking. And he goes to Ravona's office, and they're talking more about just kind of everything going on. He wants to interview or interrogate Sylvie. Gives her the name. Ravona's like, "What are you talking about? Who's Sylvie?" But she won't give him the chance. She's got plenty to hide. He leaves Ravona's office, and they just throw this line in there. He says, "We've brought in Kree, Titans, vampires." Mark, what does that vampires line mean to you? Mark Valentine.
Blade. We talking about Blade, and I'm very excited. It was a little drop that we're basically introducing vampires into the mix. Yes, they're real. They've never been brought up in the MCU, and not only are they real, they're fantastic. It's another Seinfeld reference there.
Spectacular.
Kree and Titans also introduces variants of Ronin and Thanos and other Kree and Titans that they could have brought in, which that's exciting, but they are teasing vampires. They are absolutely getting Blade in the front and center, and it's exciting.
The fact that they're listing them amongst those three should also tell you the immense power that they have. If you have the most powerful entity supposedly in the universe, name dropping them like they are a force to be reckoned with. That's pretty cool. I like
less as Loki for sure. Yeah. Less than Loki. So Mobius comes in, he pulls Loki out of his time prison, and he tells him that how much of a narcissist are you to fall in love with yourself? I think he even tells Loki that Sylvie's been pruned, and you can see just, again, we've said this every single episode, the acting by Tom Hiddleston in this show. He makes up this story about how she came to him on Asgard. They formulated this plan, and of course he was going to get rid of her whenever he needed to. But then the second he said she's dead, you can see the tears form in his eyes. You can see how emotionally draining that is for him. And then Mobius learns what causes the branch in the timeline, what caused it to spike so much. And Rob, he calls him out for being a narcissist, for falling in love with himself.
At this point, he's just mad at him. At this point, he left him, and he caused the problem, and it looks bad on him because he let his variant go that he was supposed to be watching. He's just trying to get under Loki's skin right now. He's just trying to figure everything out. I don't think there's much more to it than that.
Markie Mark, part of this conversation, he tells Mobius that they're all variants, and you can kind of see it register in Mobius's face that he kind of believes it, but he can't fully believe it right on the spot yet.
Yeah, I mean, you see that split second of him like surprised that Loki said that, but then he's burned too many bridges with Mobius, so that belief quickly went away. But I did catch that look, but Owen Wilson, he played the hurt friend so well, and I felt for him. You could tell he actually really cared for Loki, and Loki doesn't get many people like that. You know, we saw Thor for the longest time defending Loki, trying to make it work, and here's Mobius, who's just such a kind guy, who just wants to get on a jet ski, but he believes in Loki. He believes that he could be a good person. So it was kind of sad to see a brokenhearted friend, Owen Wilson.
Mark Valentine, you got anything in this interrogation?
I think this was an interesting scene to piggyback off on what Mark said, because you realize how much Loki has affected Mobius. You know, that Mobius should be seemingly unaffected and as unemotional as Ravonna is, that this is a job, that they're tasked with a job. They don't get attached. They prune people all of the time. This isn't the first Loki that he's probably pruned. This isn't the first time that Loki has that he's hunted a Loki. Here's a guy who has come to almost say that name with disdain. I mean, he's like, we hunt you guys all the time. And here was probably the first time in this Mobius's lifespan. Again, I think that we've seen multiple Mobiuses. I talked about that a minute ago. Go through the TVA, which have been pruned.
I think it's Mobii. I think
Mobi.
But this time he allowed himself to develop a relationship, like Mark said, and they became friends. That I think he cared for him, and I think on some level he probably wanted. I don't think he was going to prune them, and I think that even after this mission had concluded, that he saw value in this Loki. This Loki was seeing things in a really unique way. I think he found a partner in him, or at least someone that he could work with on a continuing basis. So I think when Loki went through the portal, I think when he made that decision, I think that Owen Wilson felt betrayed and he felt hurt by his friend. And I think that's why he calls him an a-hole, is because he, in that moment in time, he's hurt by a guy that he wanted to develop a friendship with. I mean, and he told him his deepest, darkest thing, which was the jet skis. And I mean, he got really personal with him.
After he ruined his salad too. That's some serious trust.
Well, some people would say thank you when you do that. Oh no, it's ruined. I can't eat it. Crap.
All right. Well, Mobius takes this information. He goes back to Renslayer's office. And again, we get that FDR high school pen again. So is this a Mobius variant pen that she kept as some sort of trophy? Is this her? She was a hunter as well. She seems to be armed with a lot more information, especially in regards to what happened with C-20. Who is she? Is she a variant of somebody? But all these trophies seem to be more trophies of these variants' lives rather than anything else. But Mobius, you could tell, like, he doesn't trust her. He's very on edge, and he goes for it. He says, "What are you going to do with this?" And she turns her back on him for just a minute, and he swaps out the temp pads. And he learns that C-20, her mind was there, and she came to the realization, we're all variants. I used to have a life on the sacred timeline. You took it away from me. And Renslayer takes it down. Markie Mark, what are you shaking your head at?
Thor would not have been upset about the salad being destroyed.
Low-hanging
that's
fruit.
Like I feel like Mark would be like, I don't hate it. So I get Thor.
No comment.
But,
I'm not. Yep. No comment.
Rob.
Dwayne knows how I feel.
Yeah.
Rob, Hunter C-20, and it's pretty obvious that she probably is dead because it says she's deceased when he looks up her file, and Renslayer is probably the one that did her in.
Yeah, I mean, whether she did it personally or had it done, it was definitely done. And I agree with you. Those are definitely trophies of variants. I'm not sure if it's hers. I'm sure we're going to find out the meaning of that FDR pen in the next 2 episodes here. But that's it. Yeah, Mobius went for it. He took her temp pad. We knew it wasn't going to end well, but he knew he had to find something out at that point.
Mark Valentine, you got anything from Renslayer here?
I think it's going to be really interesting when we finally peel back who Renslayer is and what her role is in all of this. I'm really intrigued. I mean, people have already speculated in the books. She is romantically linked to Kang the Conqueror. I'm hoping that she has that connection in some form or fashion in this show, that I hope that she is a key into the introduction of Kang. I don't know if we're going to get Kang the Conqueror by the end of this show. I'm hopeful that we do. And at least his name is brought up. Even if we don't get him, that we get his name brought up, and that we don't have to wait till Quantumania to get him as a fully fleshed out character. I have been wanting Kang the Conqueror. We said this back when we were talking, I think, WandaVision, that we were talking about who we would like to see as the potential big bad for this next phase of Marvel. And I was all in on Kang before this show. I really like him. I think he brings a lot of different avenues for the Marvel Cinematic Universe moving forward. That Kang is so instrumental in time travel and alternate universes in the multiverse and in Battle World. And it's just having Kang is a keystone villain. Like, and the same thing with Thanos, that Thanos is a keystone villain, that you have to have these villains in order to have other great story arcs. And the same thing with Victor Von Doom. And we need to start getting these guys. A good villain is just as important to the narrative as a good hero. I'm hoping that we don't have to wait to find out who Ravonna is, to find out what's going on, to find out. And I know that we're going to talk about this in a minute, when they behead one of the timekeepers, that it's not what you think.
Androids, aliens, wizards.
Yeah, all three, all in one. I'm excited, and I'm kind of bummed out that we only have 2 more episodes. I'm excited that we have 2 episodes and we're going to find out something. But I'm also bummed out in that we have 2 episodes left, and then we have a Black Widow movie, and then we wait.
Markie Mark.
Did anyone else, when, spoiler alert, the head comes off, think Loki's was gonna say, why is it always either an android, wizard, or alien when he's holding the head? I was kind of, I know it wouldn't have fit in at all, but it would have been funny if we would have gotten that line right there with the head.
But they don't want to do that. They want to give you the Easter egg. They want you to go back and think about this. I'm also going to say, Mark, I don't think we're going to hear Kang's name in this series. I could be wrong, but I
think we will. I think we will.
I know I've said this. I might as well just say it now. I've said it in our private chat. I'm not saying I'm going to be right, but I'm really thinking that a variant of Loki is going to be the major villain, and Ravonna is going to be working for him. And the only reason I say that, it's just called Loki. How awesome would it be that Loki is the hero and Loki's going to be the villain? And also, I know this is what we talk about. We speculate. Kid Loki plays a major role in those Young Avengers as well. And I think that's all going to I think you're going to slowly build the Young Avengers over years now. Years. And that's what I think they're going to take Kang out. I think it's going to take years for it to happen, though.
I don't disagree with that, but I don't see a Loki variant being the villain, because I think all Lokis want to be good.
If that is the case, Rob, if he is the big villain, I will say this right now. I'll go on record. I'll just be disappointed. I would be disappointed.
But now I don't know if anybody's familiar with King Loki from the comics. That was the most evil of the Lokis, who was able to conquer a world. That's a very popular variant of Loki. So that's the only reason I'm thinking that could be. Also, first episode, I really listened to this when Mobius is asking Loki all of these questions about, do you want to be evil? Why do you want to control people? Loki talks about how freedom, people always choose the wrong word. He wants to make it simple for people. That's why he wanted to rule, so he could basically take away choice and make it easy for them, which ironically is what the TVA is doing, which is why that Loki realized which is why Loki does not want, that's why he has changed his ways. Everything he was saying about what is wrong with, about taking away people's free will. And that comment's killing me. It's distracting me.
It's hilarious.
It is hilarious.
Stephanie says the disdain for child actors will really put a damper on the Young Avengers. Sorry, Rob, go ahead and finish your thought.
No, it's all right. But I think that's the reason Loki, what he wanted to do to Midgard and then eventually to the 9 realms and all the things he was talking about, that's exactly what the TVA is. So to me, it would fit so perfectly if a Loki who succeeded in what he wanted created this TVA. It would actually be the perfect form of the whole show. And like I said, previous episodes, Marvel likes to keep these things compact. They give you a little piece of the big picture, but each show is its own thing. So to say that Kang is this big villain, if you're a casual Marvel fan, you don't know who Kang is. We're saying his name. But to make a Loki a villain that succeeded in what he wanted, that would be a really well-rounded TV show.
Yeah, but by the same
season 2.
True.
Yeah, and by the same token, when they tease Thanos and unless you knew who Thanos was, the first time they teased Thanos and he turned around, there was probably a huge contingency of the audience that went, what happened? Like, who is that guy?
True, but it was a quick cut scene. I mean,
I had to explain it to people.
I could see Kang getting a cut scene at best, but I can't see them overdoing it. It's the same way we were waiting for Mephisto in WandaVision, and I don't want to go down that road again.
Well, come on, you know it's Mephisto. Come on,
you know it's Mephisto.
Stop playing.
But you knew Agatha Harkness was there all along. So it wouldn't shock me if something similar is going to happen, because I don't see them introducing too much new stuff in 2 episodes.
Ralph Boner.
I don't hate it. I'm
not saying I'm right, but it wouldn't shock me. I think
he's not saying he's right, but he's right.
Go ahead, Mark.
I'm still stuck on from the first episode when they're talking to the little boy in the church, and he points to the devil-looking mural.
Mm-hmm.
That's still getting to me because that's not what she looked like.
She had horns though.
But man, that mural, like if he's saying that looked like her, I'd be real insulted to be like, that's what you think I look like? Like, oh man, I'd be upset. So I'm kind of hoping
cloak over her head, like for most of it. So yeah, I mean, you might be right.
I'm hoping maybe there's somebody else out there, and that's who the boy was alluding to. If it was Sylvie, I'd be personally offended if I was Sylvie and he thought I looked like that.
I just want to bring this back up for you, Bryan, specifically. Yeah. Mobius has to be the other variant that Ravonna has been hinting to, right? That's what we're thinking.
Yeah, that's from my buddy Juice. Thanks for joining us, Juice. I guess, does anybody know exactly what line he's referring to? I'm not 100%. I don't know what he's talking about. The other variant that Ravonna has been hinting to. I'm not 100% there yet. I still haven't closed the door on Mobius being a Loki variant. I think that's possible as well.
Wow.
But I'm not sure. But Juice, let me know the line that you're thinking of so I can think about that, because she's obviously hinting at a lot of stuff. She knows what's going on.
Stephanie, in those times when religion was so severe, everything misunderstood was a version of the devil. Yeah, good stuff. But and we also know that it's Mephisto.
Also remember, a Mobius band or a Mobius strip is a round cyclical thing, which is the same thing. Being caught in a loop is I think where the name Mobius comes from. That's why it has to do with the TVA. So I don't think Mobius would be a Loki variant for that reason. Yeah,
but putting your finger on a Mobius loop, you would never have to lift the point up. That it can go in an infinite loop around both sides of the strip itself.
So I think that's all the name has to do, which I don't think would fit as a Loki variant, but I mean anything's possible.
Yeah. Well, we're 45 minutes in and we still have a lot to talk about. So let's talk about Hunter B-15. She goes in, she acts like she's going to go after Sylvie, and then she takes her back to Haven Hills, Alabama, simply to put her under her enchantment to know how happy she was as a human. Mark Valentine, this really hit with you, it looks like.
Dude, this was awesome. I mean, you talk about someone's world crumbling before their eyes in a split second. So she has been probably the most staunch believer in what they're doing there. She takes such exquisite pride in pointing out that Loki is a variant. She loves pointing out the fact that they're a variant. She seems to take delight in the fact that she was chosen and created by the TVA and created by the Timekeepers. Shocker, you're a variant too, and you were plucked from a reality and given this job. And it takes a wrecking ball to everything that she was, and thought she ever would be. And it was a great moment. You could see her mind just get blown. And so I wish we had seen it. I wish we had seen what she was seeing. No, I like the fact that you didn't see it. It made it that much more powerful. And the mystery of that, it made that moment more powerful, that I didn't need to see what it was in her life that brought her back to the true reality that she was intended to live before she got plucked. Like that to me was, that was kind of the point. Is that she had something else that we didn't need to see that was important. Probably like Owen Wilson in his and his jet ski. Homeboy was probably plucked while riding that jet ski, and that was the last thing that he had on the brain.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. All right, well, let's keep going. They come back, and Mobius goes back to the time prison to pull Loki out of it. And Markie Mark, we're going to start with you. Mobius says you can be whoever you want, whatever you want, even someone good. That's something Loki's been waiting to hear for a really long time.
Yeah,
Markie Mark.
I mean, I feel like this was just the kind of the same moment of when Thor in Ragnarok is in the elevator with Loki, just having a heartfelt moment to pretty much tell Loki that he believed in him. And I think this Loki needed that moment. So I just took it as, I believe in you. You were the chosen one. So, yeah.
I think it's an apology too. I think that's his way of saying basically, sorry, I didn't believe you, and had Sif beat the crap out of you a couple times. But that's the thing.
Could we blame him though?
Mark Valentine.
What is it that we love most about Loki is that yes, he can do awful things and he can be really bad. He's a trickster. He has these tendencies that, let's just say, are undesirable, but at his heart, we see him have that great potential to make the turn. And I think that that's happened probably time and time again. You know, that it's not one instance of Loki realizing his issues and growing. I think that this line was telling of what we like most about Loki, which is he has the capacity to change, that he does not have to be the bad guy. And that's why we love him. You know, we don't root for him because he's bad. It's very rare when you root for a villain. He's villainous, but I think we love him because we see a lot of ourselves in Loki. That we're not always at our best, but I think that if we're given the opportunity that we can do really and accomplish really great things, I think that we see a lot of ourselves in Loki, that we wish that we were all Thor, but the truth is we're all Loki, that we want to be a god. And most time we fall short of that desired goal. But I loved this line because for me, it was emotional that we saw that Owen Wilson says, like, you can do whatever you want. Like there's no predetermined fate. Even in the TVA, you can change at a moment's notice. You don't have to be who they say you have to be. And
remember, Mobius just learned that.
Yeah.
5 minutes earlier.
This time.
He just learned this. Mobius just learned that. That's amazing too.
Jared Welch says you were the chosen one. It was said you would join this, or you would defeat the Sith, not join them. So that was a good one. I like that. Mobius gets found out. You can see the realization come on his face, and he gets pruned. And Renslayer doesn't seem to enjoy this much. It also doesn't seem like it's the first time she's ever had to do it. But you can really see on Mobius's face when he knows he's been found out, and he answers the question of where would I go on the timeline? Wherever I'm really from. Maybe I had a jet ski. I love Josta Cola. That's pretty obvious as well. He was clearly plucked from the mid-90s.
Every time you say pruned, my head just goes to Three Amigos. I'm sorry.
Renslayer does not remember Sylvie's crimes against the timeline. We already talked about that, so we'll move on. Rob, they go up in the elevator, and the timekeepers are real. Even one of them looks like the Lorax.
Oh my God, you're right. I love that game.
Whoa, we lost him.
Oh no.
We'll get him back here. We'll get his thoughts there. Markie Mark, I think I stole your joke. I apologize. I think you're the one that called him the Lorax. I thought Wilford Brimley when I saw that particular timekeeper with that magnificent
Quaker Oats and diabetes.
You're the one who no, Brian, you're the one who said Lorax, and then you sent me the Wilford Brimley GIF for diabetes. So that was all you.
All right. Well, I'll take it then.
Yeah.
But anyway, the timekeepers are real. Mark, what did you think of that? Jared says Rob got pruned.
So pruned.
Three people put it all right in a row. That's awesome.
He's back from Battle World.
Rob, you were excited
I,
about-
felt, I felt like I got pruned. That's what I felt happened. My screen just went
Wow.
black.
Did you say hi to Alligator Loki?
You're right. I saw him. It was crazy.
Loki.
But what I was saying was they really threw me on a loop for this one because I didn't expect to see anything that even resembled the Timekeepers, and I was like, wow, we're getting really weirdly cosmic. But obviously, it didn't last that long.
I'm glad it didn't last that long too, because I remember seeing them going, they could have spent a little more on the budget on that, and then it turns out it was pretty intentional.
Did anybody else feel like Bill and Ted were going to show up in a telephone booth at some moment and everyone was going to strum in unison in that sequence?
That's exactly what it reminded me of.
Yeah. That was funny.
Good job, Bryan.
All right, we pruned him.
Oh.
All right, gentlemen.
Oh.
But the Timekeepers, as we know, they are not real.
Am I dead? Is it Bell?
You come with us or you will be. But Markie Mark, we've been theorizing on this show multiple times. I've said it multiple times, and a lot of you guys have agreed with me that I don't think the Timekeepers were real, and I was really questioning myself after the first 5 minutes of this episode, but it's very obvious really quickly that they are not real. Did this catch you by surprise at all?
No. I'm not going to say I knew they were. Are we going with androids, robots? What are we going with here?
All three.
Part of the big three.
There you go.
They are the big
There you
three.
go. I didn't think they were going to be one of them. I thought maybe like a hologram and all that, but
Nope.
I forgot it was. Yeah, I forgot it was one of the lines. One of the agents said, and I just said that planted a seed of doubt in my mind if they were real. I think it was A23. I think I thought maybe she was going to be the real one up there in charge, but then this episode showed that nope, there's definitely someone else pulling strings. She's not really a puppeteer, but it didn't surprise me at all. But it was still a very cool man behind the curtain. It was a really cool scene still.
Very, very Wizard of Oz feelings for sure. Do you think, we'll go around the table. I want to get everybody's opinions on this. Rob, do you think Ravonna knew that they were androids?
Yes.
I do too.
I do, because she knows who she's working for. Because
She wasn't shocked.
They powered down too quick too, so she has to know something. But it's Wizard of Oz without seeing who the man behind the curtain is yet.
But they didn't power down until the one, like they got found out. So I could be talked either way, because at the beginning of the episode, she walks in there like she's going to talk to the three Timekeepers. But Sylvie clearly seems to think that she knows something too, because she says, you're going to tell me what's going on here. Mark Valentine, it sounds like you thought Ravonna thought the Timekeepers were who they said they were.
Yeah. I don't think that she's had enough face time, but now that you say that, like that kind of, I like that. I like your idea better.
If they stick with any sort of comic book inspiration, and they do, I don't know, Rob, let me back up. Earlier in the episode, I said I think Kang is part of this show. I think the name Kang is part of this show. I don't think we'll see Jonathan Majors, except maybe in a post-credit scene playing Kang the Conqueror. I think if she has any sort of history with Kang whatsoever, I think that's the way she knows who she's actually working for. But we know she's not the only judge either. She literally was promoted into this role. So when do you eventually get trusted to learn who you're actually working for? But she seems pretty shaken walking into that room to meet the Timekeepers at the beginning of the episode. So I could be talked into it either way. Markie Mark, what did you think? Did you think she knows who she's working for, or do you think she thought the Timekeepers were real?
I think she knew. I don't think her fear came from the animatronics. I don't think it came from them. I think she knows who's running them. I think it came more from that, just because how she reacted, how she stayed in the zone. The giant animatronic head on the floor didn't bother her. We didn't even see her react to it. I think she knew.
Out at that point.
Well, it's still on the floor though when she comes back.
Yeah.
So,
that's true. Sebastian left a great comment that I don't want to get buried. He said the place where the Timekeepers were felt like a set for Malachor 5 Sith Temple instead of Marvel related. I don't hate that, and I'm fine with it. That was very Sith Temple related, and I thought it was cool.
Guys, I'm just surprised with the TVA's budget. They didn't have a more efficient B mode for that animatronic. I was really just disappointed that they didn't kick into B mode and we didn't have at least like a plasma screen version of the Timekeepers. Something. I mean, listen, you clearly have not invested in any kind of backup animatronic technology that you should expect at least one of the Timekeepers to be beheaded. When you dabble in this kind of business, it's going to happen sooner or later. Get a good B mode. Bad call, TVA. Bad call. Funny tonight, damn it.
We're going to get to this here in just a minute because Dwayne says Rob won in Battle World. That's why Rob was able to join us back. Rob, we are going to give you your minute on Battle World. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm excited.
We get Loki looking to express his love or his appreciation or whatever it is after Hunter B-15 comes up, saves the day, gets knocked out very, very easily because she doesn't get removed. She doesn't get pruned. She just gets knocked out and she's out of the scene for the rest of the time. But Loki, like Renslayer's going to wake up. You know what's going to happen. And Loki gets pruned. The visuals of that, him melting from the front, like was just really, really like I expected it, and yet I didn't expect it, which gave me hope because when Mobius got pruned, he's not actually probably being removed from the show completely either. But we get that cool fight scene where Sylvie and Loki have the exact same fighting style. They're fighting very much in tandem. One of the best scenes from The Last Jedi, where they're fighting in tandem. I'm just going to put that out there. But Loki gets pruned. Was anybody caught off guard by this? Mark Valentine, it made you question what pruning meant at that point?
Pruned the hedges. So not only did I gasp at this moment, but I did not watch the mid-credit scene until probably like 11:30 in the morning. I didn't even know there was one.
Oops.
And I think some of that was because I was so brokenhearted by him getting pruned and I thought he was dead that I couldn't stomach watching the credits. And I actually turned it off and I was like, wow, well, I guess that's how we're going to get Tom Hiddleston recast as someone else. And I just went about my day like someone had, like destroyed my cereal that morning. And I was just so mad by it. And then someone's like, yeah, but what about that mid-credit scene? I'm like, so what?
Come again for Big Fudge?
And I turned on my phone right then and there. And I was like, hallelujah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So it went from the best part of my day to, just really quick. Yeah.
I should have told you at 3:45 a.m. when I sent the first message that there was one, but I figured you'd figure it out. Markie Mark, did this catch you off guard at all? I mean, it's the death of a major character. I mean, it should be at least a little jarring.
No, I knew he wasn't gone. I just want to poke the bear a little bit with this death scene, but I won't. No, it didn't. I knew it wasn't the end. I was waiting for it. I wasn't surprised. Here's the one thing I like. I like whenever we get a prequel or we get some kind of sequel where a main character dies and they know we don't believe it to be real. They just go ahead and quickly resolve it or give us something. Don't even try to tease us that, they could actually be dead. Marvel was just like, yeah, we're not going to try to make you think this is real, and gave us that credit scene to show you, yep, here's Loki. He's still around. He's talking to a alligator Loki. So,
Rob, we're going to throw it to you. We travel into the Loki-verse.
The Loki-verse. So this is interesting. This is what we've been waiting for. This is what I think multiverses are going to look like. I think, like Spider-Man, for example, coming out, we're going to have situations like this. We got to talk about Battle World. Battle World is a place in Marvel Comics, which is where fragments of worlds are basically all together on one planet. Now, in this picture here, you can see the busted Avengers Tower.
On the right-hand side of the screen, yes.
Yes. So now going into what I was saying before, which is why I had this theory, this could be a part of New York where Loki won the Battle of New York, where a variant of Loki, which, by the way, I know we've all seen the trailers. We haven't seen President Loki yet. So I didn't know if that President Loki could be the evil version of Loki who is in charge of this world. Now, Battle World is not Battle World is not just New York. It's parts of all other places that we've already been to in the Marvel universe. They could put Nowhere there. They could put Sakaar. They could put any place that we've been to. There could be an Asgard fragment there, and basically it's just one big planet with all of these parts of the world, and probably all multiverse versions of characters, which is why I keep saying I really think this is going to be a slow build, because I think you're going to see all the not all, but you're going to see many characters of all the upcoming Marvel projects. They're all going to end up on this battle world. There's going to be a finale years down the line in this area, part of the Secret Wars storyline, if you're familiar with your Marvel comics at all.
Do you expect this area of Battle World to be only Loki's?
For the show, I think yes, but in theory, no. I think you're going to get a lot of other people, because there could be a Spider-Man in that New York. There could be theoretically, there could be a Captain America. There could be a lot of different things. They also, by the way, Sylvie also mentions how the universe likes to manifest chaos, which of course chaos was brought up a lot in WandaVision, and things that are created out of chaos still do exist, which just not to go a little too much further, but I think Wanda's kids might be somewhere on Battle World. So I think that they all may end up here for them. I know I'm going crazy outside the box, but I don't know how else to say it, because that's where it's basically phase one again. We're starting a brand new thing that we don't know where it's going.
I will say that they very well could be a slow build. I'm not saying you are wrong by any stretch. I think it's very, very possible. I do think that they are in a post-apocalyptic New York where the nuclear bomb that was launched, it was not saved by Tony Stark, and that's what happened to New York. I do think that that's what that is. Mark Valentine, you just gave us the crossover I didn't know I needed with Crocodile Loki, or Croaky, as he shall be known until they name it.
Can I ask something?
That took Chubbs' hand from Happy Gilmore. Go ahead, Markie Mark.
Do we know that's a crocodile? It looks like an alligator. This is coming from someone who lives in the South. It looks like an alligator.
I think we need to. Could we put up the visual? We need to analyze the snout. Now it looks. The
snout is too short and round.
It looks very short and round. It looks like a gator, man.
It's an Loki gator.
Yeah, it looks like a gator, not a croc.
That's a croc, but they call it a croc.
Croaky's a better name.
It is. I definitely like it better than Goki, but yeah.
By the way, seeing the alligator version of Loki also makes me think we might see the frog version of Thor at some point, because
this
is all multiverse.
Person in the world.
Yeah, this is. Yep. It's so hard to explain what can happen to the multiverse if you're not already a little bit of a fan, because it really does dive deep.
As long as it leads to a real life Peter Porker, then I'm all good.
I expect that could happen too. I'm expecting that in Spider-Man.
I would really like to see Jeff Goldblum talking about chaos. That's all I'm going to say, gentlemen.
Mark Valentine, your last thoughts on going into the Lokiverse and just everything about this episode, what you're excited about to come next.
So to take a line from Jurassic Park, hang on your butts, because I think these next two episodes are going to be insane. Tom Hiddleston said himself that episodes 4 and 5 are going to get crazy, and I fully anticipate some kind of wackiness this coming Wednesday. And then I'm, again, holding out hope that we get some tease of some big villain. I'm really, really hoping for Kang the Conqueror, at least to get a name drop, because we're seeing his partner in crime, so to speak, in Ravonna. I really hope that we don't have to wait until Quantumania to find out that Kang is gonna be behind all of this stuff.
Markie Mark.
I'm trying to not get too overly excited. I don't want to build something up and then just get disappointed. So I'm keeping myself in check a little bit. But I don't think Marvel will let us down. All the season finales that we've gotten so far have been pretty grand and epic. So that's what we're in for. That's what Marvel knows how to do, is big and epic endings.
Stephanie says her fingers are crossed for another Miss Minutes appearance. 100%. I need to see Miss Minutes again. Rob, final thought. What do you think
it's funny Stephanie just said that. I was going to say that is my wild card for this series. Miss Minutes is, I don't know what Miss Minutes is. That's what's driving me nuts. Miss Minutes is going to play a role. I think the writers already said that Miss Minutes has its own arc in the show. So I'm waiting to see what happens with Miss Minutes. And I have no idea what the conversations with the rest of these Lokis that have already been in this post-apocalyptic New York are going to say. Like, we have no, I'm just really excited to hear where it's going.
I just feel like we got the bargain basement Loki in that one old man. Like, that's kind of like the
Whoa. Richard E. Grant owned the crap out of that comic accurate costume. That is Richard E. Grant.
I know it's comic.
Brian, kick
I know
him off.
comic.
Kick him off, Brian. Kick him off.
You know, he deserves it. Stay there.
That's like Renaissance Fair Loki. Come on.
But you know what else is amazing? Marvel has found a way to put the original costumes into the shows. They did it in the first Captain America when they made him wear, like, you know, the spandex and stuff, and he's parading around. They did it with WandaVision. It's really, really cool that they're showing you how the costumes. It's so. That's what drags you in. I mean, come on, that's beautiful. It would be like if you did a Batman multiverse and you have Adam West show up in the original Batman costume. It's very, very cool to see the characters through the years.
It's all in the spandex pants, man. That Loki shows you why he's BA right there.
It just reminds me of Ben Stiller in Dodgeball. All right, so a couple of announcements in Earth's Mightiest Weirdos land. I am on vacation. I am going to see Fenway Park for the very first time. I am going with the Wolf of Main Street himself. I'm very, very excited. I can't wait to see Fenway Park. Another check mark. I don't care at all about the Red Sox or the Phillies, but I'm knocking a ballpark off of my list. Mark's a big Red Sox fan. I will maybe make an appearance next Monday night, but I am not being counted on. Rob, we have the 300th edition of Quarantunes next Monday night, so you are a game time decision for next week as well. We'll make sure Markie Mark and Marc Valentine have somebody to discuss this show with, and we will absolutely go from there. And then on an encore performance of Earth's Mightiest Weirdos next Tuesday. So next Monday, our normal time slot, 8:30, we'll be discussing episode 5 of Loki, which premieres this coming Wednesday. And then Tuesday night, our same time, Earth's Mightiest Weirdos time slot of 8:30, we will be doing a live spoiler review of the one and only Black Widow, which we finally get to see. I get to see it. Mark Adams gets to see it at 5 o'clock Thursday. And then it does drop on Disney Plus Premiere Access on Friday as well. So we will all have seen Black Widow by Thursday at 8:30, or excuse me, by Tuesday at 8:30. We hope you do the same and that you join us for that discussion. Marc Valentine, what's going on in this Diz Life world?
This week, we're embracing all things summer. Dwayne and I are doing the top 5 pool experiences at Walt Disney World. So Dwayne's going to tell you his top 5 pools. I'm going to tell you mine. And it's going to be filled with hot takes, needless to say. Some people will be very mad at the pools that we pushed forward. I can tell you that.
Because of my trip, we are not recording United We Fan this coming Sunday like we would. So it's being pushed just a week. So Mark Adams and I will be joined by Marc Valentine for the premiere of just getting ready for the premiere of season 2 of Ted Lasso. That will be the next episode of United We Fan. Mark, anything else you got going on?
No, you said it. So we're excited for Ted Lasso. It's one of our favorite shows. So if you haven't watched it, watch it so you can be ready for season 2.
Rob, we talked about the 300 Quarantunes. Anything else you got going on?
Friday night, I'm at Boathouse. Saturday, if you're in Lakeland, Florida, I'm playing at Winter Circle. Sunday night, Tin Roof, and we have Tropical Storm Elsa coming through, which I'm sure is just going to be just a lot of rain here.
Yeah.
Tin Roof.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will see you not once but twice next week to discuss Loki and Black Widow. Gentlemen, for all time.
Always.